Today on Locked On Red Wings, mistakes prove costly as Detroit loses their third straight game.
You're Locked On Red Wings, your daily podcast on the Detroit Red Wings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Red Wings podcast. We are your hosts, Brian Fisher and Scotty Bentley. I am a podcast producer for the Daily J, a WWJ News Radio podcast, while Scotty's the host over at Locked On Tigers, as well as a freelance journalist for the Detroit News. And the Red Wings have officially dropped their third straight game, losing to the Florida Panthers 5-2. We're going to break down that entire game for you guys, as well as preview today's game. By the time you're listening to this, the St. Louis Blues, First of two, a home and home, Tuesday, Thursday against the St. Louis Blues. Jakub Vrana revenge tour? We will find out. But we also have a signing to go over as well. We'll probably cover that in the third segment as well when it comes to the preview. But, Scotty, where do you want to lead off with in regards to the 5-2 loss to the Florida Panthers?
I guess I kind of just want to highlight the fact that this was a very winnable game and you just made really, really, really bad mistakes that cost you. And that was pretty much it, man. Like this was a super winnable game. Like you played them really close for part of the game, probably even a little bit better. And turnovers really, I guess, is what I'm highlighting specifically. But I mean, just all around, man, some of some really, really awful turnovers, like two of the worst turnovers I've ever seen. And then, which both led to goals. And then like that, along with just really bad, like wrong place, wrong time type of situations. And just kind of didn't go your way. But yeah, this was very much like within reach. And you just really made some really boneheaded decisions that were the reason you lost.
Yeah, the shots were close, 25-22 in favor of the Panthers. The Corsi for the expected goal, all those possession analytics I love to harp on, they were all close. They were all favored the Panthers, but they were all close. So like you said, Scotty, very winnable hockey game. The Red Wings were never out of this game in terms of the on-ice product. It was those mistakes. They just shot themselves in the foot time after time after time. And, you know, Lucas Raymond's getting a lot of negative things said about him recently because he has not been the same player he was last year. And I urge people to lay off because he's 21 years old in the second year of his season. Like he's gonna stumble. Players don't just progressively get better every single year. Those are rare players that come into the league hot. Like we keep talking, Dylan Larkin had a huge sophomore slump year, and now he's on pace to break his career high this season. It takes time. So I'm just urging you guys not to give up on Lucas Raymond. The takes I see, it's crazy. Give Lucas Raymond time. But that being said, that was a boneheaded mistake he made in the first period. That turnover was egregious. Awful. And I'm praying, and Husso with 5 goals again given up in less than 30 shots, inexcusable. But I'm just praying anyone, please, anyone, help my man out because that Raymond turnover was egregious.
Well, I don't even
Oli Mata trying to make Oli Mata, defenseman Oli Mata trying to make a deke on Eric Stahl, just takes it right off his stick. Jordan Osterley, with his defensive partner cheating into the zone, is fading away from center ice towards the net. So you have both your defenders deep. 2-0 going down the other way. What do you want Husso to do on that? And then the two of the other goals were tipped off of his own teammates. So it's just like mistakes, man. Just what do you like egregious mistakes just cost the Detroit Red Wings hardcore in this game. And that, like you said, Scotty, winnable game, and they just didn't want to win it.
Winnable game with that doesn't look like it in the box score. Yeah, not at all. And I don't want to like the first thing we say, like for every show that we give up, 5+ goals in to be like, oh, it's not the goalie's fault. Like that certainly could have
He
made
shares
some
blame.
adjustments, but for like 3 of them, he was completely hung out to dry. Like completely. 2 of them, there was nobody. He was completely just on his own. And for over half of them, was just completely burned by the team in front of him. Like it's
And I'm not trying to say either that Husso had a good game, because
no, I agree with you. He
I
did like
thought
2 of those especially he should have been able to stop. I completely agree, but it's just like both can be true,
yes.
right? Like he the defense in front of him can put him in awful situations, and there can be it's just not an all one or all the other type of thing. Just insanity.
Ville Husso, I mean, 4 of those 5 goals, I 3 of those 5 goals, 4 of those 5 goals, absolutely not on him. But the plays, there are plenty of plays that I was watching where he just didn't seem to have it in this game either, where he was overcommitting to one side, wraparounds almost turned into goals, rebound control is all over the place. Husso by no means had a good game either. So, of course, he shares part of the blame, but the mistakes are what actually ended up in the back of the net, and it was the teammates in front of him that caused those mistakes. Again, Lucas Raymond's turnover was egregious. Moritz Seider had a huge, didn't result in a goal, but even he had a pass out in front that was picked off right up the middle. Obviously, Oli Mata trying to make a move from inside the blue line that resulted in it just being taken right off a stick by Eric Stahl, and he and Duclair went down for a 2-on-0. You had Andrew Kopp and Pius Suter both redirecting shots unintentionally. I mean, they weren't trying to deflect it. Well, actually, Pius Suter was trying to get his stick in the lane.
Suter was. Yeah.
But just costly mistakes really hurt them in this game, and what was such just a winnable hockey game, and it just did not. I mean, hey, while I'm ranting and I'm getting my frustrations out, I guess I'll go to this too. Zadina, dog, do me a favor, please, for the love of God, man. I'm sitting here and I'm supporting you and I'm giving you my, not that any of this matters. You don't even know who I am, Philip, but for the love of God, like, how many shots did he whiff on? And his expected goal, I checked before. So that's the crazy thing, is he had the 3rd best expected goals for percentage in this game. 5th best. Sorry, mistaken. 5th best at 65%, 23% relative. He was a positive asset on the ice. He's a great two-way forward now, but he can, whenever he goes to pull the trigger on the puck, and I've admitted, Scotty, that he's not a goal scorer. That's not his role, and it's disappointing because he was a 6th overall pick. But I like the style of game he does bring in a bottom 6 role. I know that's disappointing, but he can be an effective and is an effective bottom 6 winger. But anytime he goes to shoot the puck, he misses the net, he flubs it, he outright whiffs, he waits too long and his stick gets in the lane. I mean, there are 2 or 3 of them. His expected goals for in this game, Scotty, was over 1. He was expected to ski the best expected goals for on the team, and he didn't get a goal.
Well, was it the start of the 3rd period where he had a crazy run at the net and moves around defenders and going, and he makes a break and like crazy moves and gets to in a position where it's 1-on-1, and then he beats the defender, and I was like, oh my goodness, that was absolutely insane. And now he's got a chance to score, and then it's not even in the same zip code. You're like, all right, that was very, very cool. A lot of flashy moves to get right in front of the net, and then just not even remotely competitive shot.
And that's what's so frustrating, because he does everything right and gets nothing out of it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's his own fault. I mean, I remember producing for you and Nolan way back when, and hearing you guys talk about Filip Zadina, about how he does everything right, but he just doesn't have that lethal goal scoring edge to him. I remember Nolan talking about the fact that he just gets stick jitters whenever he gets in an opportunity to bury the puck. He does everything right now, offensively and defensively. The defensive side of his game has grown so much, and that's why I'm such a supporter of him and letting him grow and letting him cook. But man, does it just it makes it hard when you get 3 golden opportunities in a game and just right over the top of the puck, every time. Oh, well, that's my frustrations at this game, Scotty. You got any more?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we can talk about it in segment 2, but we also got to talk about Simon Edvinsson, because he was fan-freaking-tastic. fantastic.
He was.
But first, I got to talk to you guys today about FanDuel. The tournament is heating up, and now is the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Then you bet on everything from the money line to point scores to threes drained. Let me ask you, Scotty, are you taking Michigan State in the Sweet 16?
You must learn who you're speaking to.
Oh, I know exactly who I'm asking. That's why I'm asking.
Nice little run.
Mm-hmm.
Nice little run. Respect. Big ups.
Plus, FanDuel even lets you combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with a same-game parlay. You don't miss the chance to get your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/lockdown. That's FanDuel.com/lockdown to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Segment 2, Locked On Red Wings podcast. Scotty and I are breaking down the 5-2 loss to the Florida Panthers, the Red Wings' third in a row. Listen, I ranted. I listed off all my frustrations in this game. You said you have a couple more. I wonder if you'll rile up a few more in me, but I'm going to let you have your time, so to speak.
I mean, I don't have anything. I don't have anything crazy and passionate as you just did. But I mean, kind of just like what I said earlier. There was just a lot of really brutal, like individual mistakes made by a plethora of players in this hockey game, and I think. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. Like, are we just gonna like go through the roster and like list everybody that I thought struggled? I guess that's kind of like pointless. Maybe it's easier to just flip to the positive side of things at this point. Just talk about who did well. I mean, I think we'll get to Edvinsson obviously in a second. He had a really good game. Andrew Copp had a really was part of that kind of wrong place, wrong time, and deflection conversation
we
had earlier. He was definitely part of that, but I still think that overall his play is arcing and trending in a very good direction. So I'll take it, I guess.
He had an assist on the Dylan Larkin goal. He had the secondary on that one, as well as I thought he did have a pretty good game. He was the third best player on the team in expected goals for percentage as well. So when he was on the ice, the team had more quality shot attempts for than quality shot attempts against.
That whole not that the top line was bad. Like obviously Larkin scored and whatnot, but I thought that the middle six was decent in this game. Like we didn't get outplayed. That's like the frustrating part.
Yeah.
Like it's not like we're one of the many losses we've had this season where we've come on here and been like, oh, this sucks. Like you got outplayed and but you were able to make it close and then you just like kind of fell apart at the end or whatnot. Like you were even enough for most of the game, maybe slightly get outplayed by the end of the third period, but for a majority of that game, you were pretty neck and neck, and it just 5-2.
Yeah, I agree, man. Dylan Larkin got a goal in this game. That's points in back-to-back games as he continues to hunt down his career high. But I think other than that, he was pretty quiet in this game. He didn't see a whole lot from Dylan Larkin. But I did really love that goal. Lucas Raymond fed him. Larkin got tripped up, but instead of just kind of giving up and taking the call, he got back up off his knees and continued to play, got into a position, snuck back door, and Raymond fed him the pass. So Raymond got on the board as well with that. Kind of making up a little bit for that egregious pass. And then, of course, the pass was a gimme. I mean, it was a slow turn. He looked up, and Larkin's literally there with a stick in the air, like, hey. So, but he got a point out of it. I'm not going to complain about points. Pius Suter now is, with that goal in this game, Prashant Iyer tweeted out that he leads the Red Wings in goals over the past month. So, Pius Suter, it's good for Pew, but that is not.
Yeah, I feel like that's one where that's which side of the coin is better? Is that really good for Pius Suter? Is that really bad for the rest of the Detroit Red Wings? Probably a little of both.
Yeah. So he's 2 goals off of his career high, which he set his rookie season. So
Yeah.
hopefully it'd be good for him to do that on a personal level as he's
Contract
fighting
year.
for his next NHL contract year, like you said. So David Perron, that was a nice breaking play. Jake Wallman saw Perron breaking out of the box after the 4-on-4 expired, I believe it was. Was that after the Edvinsson hit, or is that a shorthanded play that was developing? 4-on-4, I believe it was.
I think it was the 4 because I think that was just after the Veleno.
Yeah, he went after
scuffle.
Yeah, he went after. The name is escaping me. The guy he went after. It's escaping me right now, but it doesn't matter.
Me too.
It was after that play expired. Perron came out of the box. Wallman saw him. Perron made a nice move down low. Couldn't bury it. Suter did. Nice. Good for Suter. Okay. Simon Edvinsson. Great game.
Damn good hockey
Fantastic game. Best player on the team. So he took that hit from Radko Gudas. That's who it was.
Yeah, you're right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
But he took that hit from Gudas and he went down the tunnel, came back, played the rest of the game. He had a really nice feed waiting for Kubalik to come out from behind the net back door. Stick check last minute, stopped it. Obviously, he stepped up in the play that led to that hit. Just was all over the ice, making tons of great plays. He stuck with Matthew Tkachuk and took him down to the ice. I mean, he just looked
him to the ice too.
And we talk about kind of how he looked just okay in his first game. Good, but like a couple things here and there. It'll work. Great game today.
Great game.
Fantastic
game.
Near flawless.
And a lot of people have pointed it out already, but seems to have a pretty high IQ and a knack for drawing penalties. That seems to be
3-2.
Yeah, early on, he has already drawn several. Like 2 or 3 at this point.
3 penalties in 2 games he's drawn.
Yeah, penalties drawn, and and then obviously like keeping a skater down and not getting called for that's he's looking pretty fun. And this game especially was this was not we saw flashes or there's room to improve or whatever. This is the first time, preseason included, that we can just take an entire game of his at the NHL level and be like, this was just a damn good hockey game.
Yeah, Simon Edvinsson was 3rd on the team in expected goals for percentage, 67.59%. And then Corsi for percentage, he had 61.54. If you go to Hockey Stat Card, let me pull Hockey Stat Card up. You guys like Hockey Stat Card? He was the best player on the team according to Hockey Stat Card. Followed by David Perron, who actually led the team in expected goals for percentages. He had a pretty strong game offensively. And then Moritz Seider, Jake Wallman. I did think they did have a good game.
Oli Mata and is that Osterley?
Yeah, their pair was brutal in this hockey game.
Great.
I have to imagine a big chunk of that came from that horrible turnover that led to the 2-1-0 goal that Eric Stahl scored. It has to be a huge chunk of it in my mind. But you can see, again, Lucas Raymond, Dylan Larkin, Pius Suter had a pretty quiet. They scored both the goals, ironically. But outside of those, they had a quiet game offensively. Weren't really doing a whole lot. It was guys like Edvinsson, guys like Perron, Seider and Wallman looked solid like usual. One thing, too, I want to point out is this is back-to-back games now where Zarnic, in his limited ice time, has made the most of it. And he, I believe, was 2nd on the team in this game at expected goals for percentage. You can see here that he was top 6 on the team, it looks like, maybe 7th on the team, according to Hockey Stat Card. So, depending on what metrics you put investment in his limited ice time, he's been a threat. He hit a crossbar in this game as well. So, for an AHL call-up, 14th forward, he's pretty dependable. I like what I see out of Zarnic.
Yeah, I agree. And again, we've talked about it a lot, and I don't just want to keep singing the same tune over and over again. But I mean, this is a substantially deeper hockey team than we have had in a very long time. Even if the top end talent we're still waiting to develop to kind of get over the hump, and it could be deeper from line to line, but organizationally, this is comfortably the deepest this organization has been in a very long time. And it again, there's still a lot of room to grow in that department too, just because it's deeper than it has been the last 3 years, which weren't very great. doesn't mean that it's necessarily like quote unquote deep. So yeah, and I think we're kind of seeing the fruits of that labor in post trade deadline reality that is this current Detroit Red Wings team.
Yeah, absolutely. As far as final thoughts on this game goes, what do you got?
Edvinsson looked good, when we
No.
last week.
He looked great.
He did look great. You're right. Last week we kind of had the conversation of like not reasons to, but like things to watch throughout the remainder of the season, and one of those reasons was very fun to watch in this game. So win or loss, it doesn't really matter too much to too many people at this point. So we'll take a good Edvinsson game. I'll gladly take it.
I will take it as well. So when we come back, we'll talk about the Antti Tuomisto signing as well as preview the game against the St. Louis Blues, the first of two in a home and home. So stay tuned to Locked On Red Wings. But before we get to segment 3, I do have to talk to you guys today about Built Bar. If you're looking for a delicious treat but don't want all the fat and calories, then you got to try Built Bar. What makes Built Bar so good? Well, for starters, they are covered in 100% real chocolate. That's right, real chocolate. And they come in unbelievable flavors like churro, peanut butter brownie, and coconut almond. I'm not sure how Built does it, but these bars taste like a candy bar while maintaining amazing macros. And what's even better is that they are healthy. Only 130 calories and 4 grams of sugar and a whopping 17 grams of protein. You hear us talk all the time about how you can find them at built.com. And at this point, you've heard us talk about all the time how you can find them now at Sam's Club and Walmart. So stop waiting, get off your ass and go buy some Built Bars. You can get a 4-bar box at Walmart. That includes cookies and cream, double chocolate, or coconut. And then if you go to Sam's Club, you can get that 13-bar box, brownie, batter, and churro, which Scotty loves so much. And no, Scotty, to answer your question, I have yet to try it. I'm sorry. I'm a cookie dough puff guy in the end. It's where my heart is. You can have churro. I'm a cookie dough puff guy.
You haven't even tried it.
I know. Listen, I don't doubt it's good. It's Built Bar. They're all good. But cookie dough puff, man.
I've tried your favorite. You try mine. It's just selfish.
Well, now I feel bad.
Yeah, you know should.
You know what'll make me feel better, though?
Eating a churro Built Bar.
So go to Sam's Club, go to Walmart, or as always, you can go to built.com. You won't regret it. You're so stupid. I love you. Segment 3, Locked On Red Wings podcast. Scotty, the Red Wings today, or Monday rather, by the time people are listening to this, signed Antti Tuomisto, 2nd-round pick from 2019. Yep. To an entry-level contract. He's a right-handed defenseman. I believe he's like 6'6". Finnish kid. Played 2 years with the University of Denver before going to the Finnish League. This past season, I think he's got 20 points in 60 games played. 5-15, I think, is the split there. He's a defenseman. That's for sure. That is definitely one thing that I know for sure about Antti Tuomisto. I mean, when you saw the signing, what was the first thought that went through your mind?
On brand. big body back there, on brand for the current regime. That was pretty much my first thought. But yeah, cool, man. Like the really fascinating part about being at this present stage in the rebuild is there were still a lot of decisions that need to be made about what additions we're going to add at the NHL level, how we're going to add them, free agency, trades, etc. But the reinforcements are like coming through the organization, man. They're on their way, if not really knocking on the door. So yeah, very, very cool, but also very on brand.
I think the Tuomisto signing is interesting because one, the entry-level contract, there's two pieces of context to keep in mind here. The Red Wings were set to lose his rights at the end of the summer. So the entry-level contract just kind of felt like it was a 2-year contract, which is very unorthodox. Most of them are 3 years. It felt as if we're going to sign you to a 2-year because we haven't loved what we've seen out of you, but we don't want to give up on you yet. So we're going to give you 2 years to prove that you can continue to grow and become a part of this system. So what I wonder is I don't want to say he's going to make the leap to North America because he's already been in North America. He played college hockey with the University of Denver and won a national championship there. So
good team, by the way.
Always a good team.
Damn good hockey
by
team.
the way, go Blue, won Big Ten championship again.
Yes, sir.
But Anna Van Til is going to be ridiculous. Rucker McGrody is good too.
It's just crazy how like we have a generational prospect in the draft, right? Like a dude that's been labeled as generational, and like the team who gets number 2 is gonna be like, oh, we have
It's
to settle. Going, you
yeah.
know what I mean? Like it's a hell of a hockey player,
It's the Connor McDavid draft all over again, where like the consolation prize was Jack Eichel. Like that's
right?
a bad thing.
Literally, it's like yes, you're not getting Bedard, but like you're still getting a damn good
You
hockey
could
player.
get Fantilli or Michkov, and they're going to be really good hockey
Fantilli is,
players.
yeah.
So, anyways, back to Tuomi. So this felt like the Red Wings they really need right-handed depth at defense, and he offers that. And so they're willing to give him another 2 years to see if he can become a piece that they can use in the future. So I don't know if he's going to stay in Liga or if they want him to come over to play in the ECHL or the AHL to see if he can develop on the North American ice and put him in the system. I would think if with an ELC, that would be what they want to do, but who knows? Maybe they think he can develop better and develop still in Finland, because the Liga is not a bad league. It's not, I don't think it's the
Not at all.
SHL, but it's still a professional hockey league that he's playing in.
Yeah, absolutely.
So as far as Tuomisto goes, that's pretty much it. It wasn't a huge signing, but it was definitely of note because he was a second round pick just a couple years ago.
Agreed.
All right. So Scotty, Jakub Vrana is going to face off against his former team, the Detroit Red Wings, in back-to-back games, Tuesday and
Under
Thursday.
1.5 goals.
I think he gets 1. So I'm going to say under.
But if I set it at 0.5, you'd take the over.
Yes, I would. And so obviously the Vrana angle is really interesting already. But the other thing to keep in mind is while you and I are over tanking, the St. Louis Blues are 9th from bottom and the Red Wings are 10th from bottom. And if you're 9th from last, you have a 5% chance of jumping to 1. And if you're 10th from last for the Red Wings seat, you're 3.5%. And now you have a home and home against them Tuesday, Thursday, tomorrow, or today by the time you're listening, 8 o'clock in St. Louis, second half of back-to-back. You're starting Magnus Hellberg. You got to think that this might, I hate to say it, because the Blues aren't a good team either. In fact, this might be one of the few times this season where you're playing a team with a worse Corsi for percentage at 5-on-5 than the Red Wings. They're 28th, you're 27th. So again, very beatable hockey team, especially with all their injuries and just how bad Binnington's been. But second half of back-to-back, 3-game losing streak, and you're traveling a night after a home game. The odds are stacked against you here, and you're starting your backup. And so as much as I hate tanking, you start to wonder, like, okay, well, not that 1.5% extra odds will really do you a whole lot, but you're like, okay, well, I wouldn't necessarily mind 9th overall as opposed to 10th overall.
So like my thing is I'm done rooting for losses.
Right?
That's like how I view it. Like I'm done being like, oh yeah, like please lose, give us like better draft position, whatever. Like I don't care. Like I'm done with that. We're too far out of it to really be like a big factor in the top, the lottery this season at this point. Like I think that that's dumb at this point, but that doesn't mean that if they lose a couple of games and it raises our stock, I'm going to be upset at a better draft pick either.
Yeah.
Like that's obviously not the case, but I'm done rooting for it. I'm done going into games being like, oh man, like I really hope we lose this one. Like, no, I'm going to go into both of these games still rooting for a victory and trying to find a way to win. But, yeah, that doesn't mean if we go 0 for 2 that I'm going to be like heartbroken about it either. Like, I guess honestly, the way to put it is just like wins and losses just don't affect me anymore. Like we're past that. We've talked about it. We're not making the playoffs. We're also not tanking. We're in the middle. We're in no man's land. I'm looking for individual storylines at this point. Wins and losses don't really. I'm unfazed by wins and losses.
Well, see, I'm right there with you where if they lose, I want to see them. That's things like I want to see them on a game-to-game basis win. So I want to see them win both of these games against St. Louis. But like you said, if they lose, well, I'll be bummed. It's like, okay, well, bigger picture, better draft pick. At the very least, they're going to be, well, they could always slide and they have a history of doing that. But you have a better shot at getting a better draft pick, regardless if it's number 1, number 2, or you just stay pat at 9. That's still better than 10, right? But I also have my personal ambitions in what I wanted this team to do at the start of the season, at this set out, is be 85 points. I wanted the over. The over was set at, or the over under was 84.5. I wanted them to hit 85. Now they're projected to hit beneath that. They're like at 82, with how much they're losing
Yep.
in frequency compared to how often they're winning. And so I want to see them win hockey games and get to where I wanted them to be. Not that I think, I think that it's going to be an improvement over last year regardless, but I'm being selfish in wanting a bigger improvement. So from that perspective, I want them to sweep the St. Louis Blues. But, the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, but if you get swept by them, now you're that much closer to having a better choice of prospects. Again, not even saying Bedard or Fantilli or Michkov, but just being at 9, you have one more prospect you can choose from on the board. You have one more option you can have. And that is, that's value there. And especially with the Red Wings holding 2 first-round draft picks. I mean, that value is exponentially bigger when you hold 2. So it's definitely something to consider. Let's see, where are they? The Blues have the 20th best. Wow, they're like one. So they're 28th in Corsi for percentage, Scotty. You're 19th or 27th. You're 19th in power play. They're 20th. And the Red Wings are 19th in penalty kill. Where are the Blues at here on this? Are they higher? Are they pretty good? Or am I just missing them? They're 21st. So they're 2 below you in that. So they're just barely worse than you in like every regard. So this is a winnable game.
Yeah, they both are winnable games. Absolutely. This is a really interesting hockey team, like where they just are as an organization. Like I could talk about the St. Louis Blues just like organizational path for like hours. I think it's fascinating. Like I really like jump started and like weren't supposed to win, and then like the like the cup team happened randomly, and like they just had a historic second half and found themselves in the cup, and then like after that it's been like just kind of weird, like slow fall off, but they still had a lot of talent, and like some of it was even young talent, and then they just decided they were gonna like start selling pieces off, and it's just I on a day-to-day basis, almost, at least in the first half of the season, you were like, oh, like what are the Blues gonna do today? Like what direction do they want to head in? It's really fascinating to me. So yes, obviously currently very winnable hockey game, and I'm sure all eyes will be on Vrana.
I mean, on a very micro level, the two teams are in the same spot, right? But it's, as you say, they're a team that they won their cup, and now the pieces are kind of falling away. They traded Ryan O'Reilly. They traded Vladimir Tarasenko.
Right. The path to get to the point we're at is different, but they're at the same point. Yeah.
Binnington's contract's going to be an albatross.
Yep.
So they're on a downward slide where you're going up, and you're just passing kind of you're at the same spot right now, but you're passing them by as they slide down. And, it brings me to an interesting, and this could be a conversation for another day, as we talk about how the Red Wings need a goal scorer. And Jordan Kyrou has yet to prove that he's a 40 goal scorer, but he's 24, just signed a huge extension worth $8.1 million. He scored 27 goals last year. He's already got 30 this year. And if you want to add,
people
especially
been talking about that all season, honestly.
Right wing too, which is a position of need for the Red Wings. Their right wing depth is not great.
Yeah.
That could be an option. So that could be a conversation for another day. So, but that's just me. That's just me thinking. That's just me thinking.
You know what? I don't mind when you think.
You're the only person who's ever said that. I appreciate that, though. His expiry status. Okay, no, that was his ELC, man. For a second, I was gonna be blown away.
Calm down.
Okay. Any final thoughts?
Too much, dude.
I thought too much. Do you have any final thoughts?
We ball.
We'll be back with a new episode tomorrow. Game recap tomorrow night. Same time, same place. It's your team every day.
Every day.